Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I was still moving things around and getting things set up. I'm going to go through. I'm still adjusting some camera angles too. And yeah. High profiler needs attention. Okay. Can I get... Okay, that stopped. And as I say, I'm still setting up camera angles. I'll keep that remote handy. Even though we're going to have a little bit of infinite screen going on there in the background, I want to see the camcorder is going to be the best presentation. Let me see how my other, we don't want it showing all the mess that I just was moving around. That might be a real good view for kind of getting started as well. I probably don't even need the ring light. We're getting that morning sun coming in, and and actually I want to get on my drive too, because I need to get those images in. In fact, this one, download. Okay, and let me flip over to the just asking everyone to say hi in the chat window, and I want to make sure that my audio levels are good and everything else is going good. Let's get flipped over to that. And I still have the boxes of the stuff. I'm still trying to deduplicate effectively from my video last night where I showed everything, and well, that's nice. We can go ahead and show that for the moment. Before I change it. And of course, I didn't do a live stream last week. Exactly a week earlier, me and RetroTech Chris, as well as a bunch of other people, and I even met some people from the Facebook group, Facebook PS2 group, at VCF East. We attended the one day on last Saturday. It was an event that ran Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we were there on the 9th, I believe, if I can count right, this morning. Okay, and I already had that up. Okay, browse. I wanted to show this. I'll have to see how it gets sized. Yeah, it's going to be big, humongous thing until I get it sized correctly. I don't want it to... Well, that's maybe a good view of things. Now, this is before I went through and picked the unit up. Let me get back over on chat window. Join in to say hello. And I'm hoping to go over 600 subscribers this morning. For those that haven't attended my live streams before, I try and do them at this time every Saturday morning. At some point, I'll flip over and do the one weekend a month on Facebook, the Facebook live stream. And I might set that up for next week. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'm really hoping to increase some subscribers. And going through, this machine just has a lot of potential to work for me. And... well, as I say, I hope to reach 600. I was at $5.99 the last time I checked. You know, it gets to be a, yeah, at least it's showing me on my live stream, it's showing the thumbnail and up there. And, so, yeah, I'm at 601 as YouTube shows it now. So that is absolutely fabulous. And this is off in the mainframe and mini computer. And there's a big community on Facebook. I probably need to go through and provide some links, and it's a real easy link, real easy alias to remember. And if we have any members from that group, it's fantastic. And I went through and when I'd found the system, and it was brought into the PS2 group by someone that says, hey, I just saw this on Marketplace. And I think what it was, and the seller, I think, had it up for a couple weeks. He talked about reducing the price, but he was asking $250 cash pickup only, of course, for this big, heavy system. And Daniel Hamilton, if he's out there, he isn't a member of the mainframe and mini group, but he does have, I found the page of his, and he talks about where UPS brought him a 9406-170 unit and dropped it. I mean, they damaged this unit pretty heavily by his account. He's got that online. I've got a link to that, and that's really unfortunate. I wanted to go through and pick this up. It was probably along the lines of more than, probably even close to 3 weeks ago when I was made aware of this. And I immediately contacted the seller. He wanted cash at pick up $250. I said I need some sort of you know, I want to make sure that I've bought the machine that we'll go through and do the transaction. So I want to pay at least a little bit on it to lock me into the transaction. And I understand I had to pick it up. And we just worked on, if I paid ahead of time, I would do $300. And the seller worked with me fantastic. In fact, he held it. I wasn't able to pick it up before the and move it to another location or anywhere else before I could. I just had to pick it up from him, and so we held the machine for about 10 days, and it just evolved into a trip that I went to VCF East, had a wonderful time, had a great host in Retro Chat Chris, big shout out, and to him for hosting all that. And on my way back, I went through, and this was the first stop after a couple hours as I was leaving to come back home, the 3-day drive to come back home. I picked this up, and it went into the back seat of the Malibu. All the stuff. The seat was relatively clear beforehand. And I should have had even some pictures arranged. Otherwise, I could go through and show of this thing in the in the Malibu. And at least it only filled one side of the seat, and then all the other associated stuff piled on top. And I did the 3 segments of 10 hours apiece, approximately driving. Came back through Nashville, Dallas, and then to El Paso, where I'd left my van, transferred all the stuff over to my van, brought it back home, and just went through, and I had arranged it and pulled out of the van and taken pictures and things like that. But last night, finally bringing it inside and showing it. And I've got it, of course, with the backside facing at the moment. Now, this is a picture from the seller as he had it connected. It does have the info window terminal up there on top that I do have off to the side here, of course. And at least this is a great way. I mean, there's not really much confusion that it's keyed. The connections are keyed for those DB9s that are kind of common on the back of the AS400. See if I can get kind of a composite image here going, showing the back of the machine back when 3 weeks ago or whatever. And he unplugged it just right before I showed up. I didn't see it demonstrated, although I knew that it was operational condition. Was really looking forward to it because I'm really just at a juncture with the terminal emulation I'm doing on the Facebook group, going through and taking pictures of the adapters and getting the software imaged and planning for getting that loaded on a machine that I needed, as they say, forklift ready, a Twin-X host of some sort. And I'm not going to bring in one of my System 34s. Had seen one of those at VCF East. I'm not going to be able to bring that up here, one of those units here, and power it up for the first time in 30 years and go through and have what I want to do. That's going to be a eventuality, but I need to react a little bit quicker. And so I was glad to find this machine in operation. Now for this morning, and I'm going to kind of give a little bit of a layout of, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to connect it exactly as the seller had it connected previously. There's some other means that we're going to talk about before I go through and start connecting and flip the machine around and go through and power it up. And I'll just have to make sure I'm tracking real good on time. We're a quarter into the hour. Again, for those that haven't attended my live streams before, I try to hold it to about an hour. Most of the time I do pretty good, and well, let's be truthful, a lot of the time I just go over. It gets to where there's just moving through things, and I hope this is going to be, for the process I'm going to do, it's going to be Hey, and there's Jesse. I'm glad to see you here as well. I know I do have the playbacks and concurrent viewers, or at least going up and everything else from what I typically see. And but we'll just try and go over things. And so let me kind of step through the next step. I've shown the back and the connections. It's real easy to see how the seller had it connected. Of course, the power connection at the top, there's not really any big doubt. But of course, there's some DB dynes and some connections with a lot more stuff there right below that power supply. And those are even what I may be able to do, since I have that on camcorder. In my camcorder, oh, okay, no, excuse me, I have that on webcam. I've got the this tripod is not real good. I should have got out my more industrial strength. You can see those are the connectors that are right below the power supply. And you can see those white, if I'd, okay. So, okay. So we're going to go to, let's move image display. And I'll hide my, okay, so there's the connections right below the power supply. You can see the white key pins in those. There's not really much confusion there. There's that last connector over on the right hand side that has no key pins in it. And I think that's for, I found the page otherwise, and I'll probably link that in as well. That shows, and I don't know why my webcam cover slid closed. So as you can see in the picture from the seller, he doesn't have any okay. I may bring that webcam in closer too. He doesn't have any connections up towards those four top connections, and of course it's done from, and the I series of the AS400s, they're interesting machines. I mean, this is definitely a real good machine. It's at least portable enough. It's about the size between a Model 95 and the Server 500 line. So maybe about this, close to the same size as the 320 PC server, 320. About the same height and width and all that. And this is based on x86 architecture, ultimately. IBM branch out. Supposedly there's more of a Netfinity board in there, and it actually has those lower slots that you see are PCI. Now let's go ahead and bring up the cables. And zoom out. I may bring that up on camcorder, got the infinite screen going on there in the background for my monitor. But so the cables, let's set this one aside for the moment. And he left everything all connected as he had it, at least. And of course, as I said, it's not very complex. But the biggest question was this Twin-X Hydra. I could have gone through and cleaned this up a little bit. And it has the DB9 at the end of it. And actually has one pin that's removed. And so it's prevented from going into the these two connections. This doesn't have any and this is I believe that's a straight kind of communications cable sort of thing too. And of course we can see from the seller's picture that going right into, I can go through and tighten up the retaining screws to have that exactly as the seller did. Of the Twin-X Hydra, he has the one connection there shown at the end. I don't really know if this matters as far as the station numbers. I think the station, well, yeah, it does have station numbers. So it's got the 0, 1, 2, and 3 for this little Hydra. And there is diagrams showing how you can, you go through and daisy chain them, because at the end of that Twin-X cable, and I have other Twin-X cables too, and I'll probably, as I go through, there'll be an eventuality of going through and connecting up multiple terminals or the PCs, the terminal emulation as well, having that that system console going. And so there's the connection for the info window, the DB15, and it has this pass-through where you go through and connect on one side. I'm not seeing if these it probably does ultimately matter for the pass-through, but how these are, basically so you can daisy chain them. You just take another Twin-X cable, go to your next station down the line where it has a similar connector as the thought, and just goes on and on and on. So this, in a moment, I'm going to go through and I'm going to connect up to the info window. I do have a power cord connected, and as I flip, well, I don't have a power cord connected to the info window. I'm going to go through and switch it off as I go through, and I'll power things up. Now, the other cable that was included, and I'd heard of these before too, that this is viewed as the direct connection, and this has this little I think that's like a 26 pin, maybe 36 miniaturized kind of Centronic style connection. And at the other end, and this is just what I have, it has the DB25, and this is for a serial port connection to ultimately a PC. And as we went over the disk last night, it has a little client access, and it so it's a program that you run on like a Windows 3.1, Windows 95, Windows 98. It's kind of interesting. The manual I saw, the talk about Windows 95 is comparable to Windows 98. So Windows 98 had been released at that time, but they had a little bit different setups for the for Windows 95 and and Windows 3.1. Now, I'm not going to do this particular connection today, although I have thought about on video. I don't know if it's going to be live stream, but I'll go through and I'll attempt to use it later. I just don't know with the way I got the system from the seller on whether this is necessarily enabled. But that goes right there. And of course we can see that the seller did not have this connected. I didn't talk to him about whether he had connected a system this way before. I think he had said it was from a friend. I have no idea the origins of this system. He had talked to, like, he had a friend that had picked this up and was interested in kind of going through and working with it. And I think as I looked it up, this cable is 20 feet. You can get the connection that's got the DB9. And I thought of PS2s I could have as a host for that, like a Windows 3.1. I've had my development machine. Now, it does have 2 DB9 serial ports, but I think I even, it's easy enough to get an adapter, or I think I have a microchannel adapter that just has a single DB25 serial port on it. And the issue that I get into a little bit with that system is it has a 240 megabyte SCSI hard drive. And that drive is just running out of space. It's really funny because I went through to capture the BIOS image and I had more space on the diskette, the boot diskette that I had in the drive, the diskette drive, rather than what was on the hard drive. And so, and I plan to put a zip disk so I can move files easily on and off. It doesn't have any sort of Ethernet board, but I need to go through and actually upgrade the SCSI hard drive and then transfer over everything, and maybe I can do that setup from there. Or I've been thinking about like a Model 35 SX, Model 40 SX. I know I've got one around that's got Windows 3.1 on it. That I could go through and just use a straight DB25 connection on the serial. There are cables for the DB9s that I might just go through and over time, over the next couple weeks, find one of those cables and pick one up, try and get it to where it's priced appropriately. But it's really nothing more. You can adapt to by the conventional serial port connections to take that down to DB9 as well. Now, lastly, before I take that's putting a little bit of weight on that connection, I just wanted to show where that connection is. Okay. And the last connection I want to talk about before I flip the machine around is it does have an Ethernet. This is labeled as option 2838, and there is I can provide some links. There's the ability to where I could go through figuring out or setting up the IP address on that, binding an IP address. I could disconnect that to a switch and use a Telnet 5250 client and go through to connect that way and run even a more modern terminal in effect than Windows 3.1 or Windows 95, Windows 98, whatever. So that would, run on a more modern machine. In fact, want to check the chat. Hi, Chris, and thank you for being such a great host. A week ago, over those few days before we went to VCF East, And the glad to see you here. I know that you're not a member of the mainframe and mini computer group on Facebook. I know you have a lot of groups that you're a part of. It's probably not a little bit your forte, but I went through and advertised this as on that group, and and I'm still getting notices right now of new subscribers. Of course, all my other YouTube notifications and chimes. Oh, subscriber after subscriber. And just a notice for Derek Newland, subscribe to your channel. And that's great. He's the admin. I've known him over, of course, on the PS2 group. But he is the admin for the mainframe and mini computer group that I linked up above, providing the first link. So I'm happy to see this is probably as many viewers as I've had on live stream. Now, I mentioned earlier, I mentioned Daniel Hamilton. We're just past the halfway point, as I have it here, a little bit more than half past the hour. I mentioned Daniel Hamilton, which has been around PS2s, and so upcoming, and I'm sure there's a lot of people interested, and this is on the PS2 side. I might as well make the announcement now. Once I go through and work with the AS400 a little bit here, and maybe I can do it for a live stream next week, do some lead ups to it, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk about the effectively the PS2 Unicorn. I brought back, and the main reason for the travel on the trip was a system that I'd picked up, and Chris had, Retrotech Chris in the chat had graciously stored that away for me until I could get by and pick it up. And that's what the trip to VCFE's turned into. This is the Daniel Hamilton had a back in the day had sent me a Type 0 complex from a Model 90, and sent out a couple other units. I know that there was one unit that was being built up to the Model 90 as it was configured for this, and it's actually a model PS2 Model 90 XP386, and I have a badge picture of it and everything else. That is, I've heard it expressed as the 8590-401, and my unit is got a label on there for the 8590-402, and the leading 4 to the submodel means a special bid that IBM went through basically and created a particular PS2 configuration special bid for their customers. And when you had 4 in that leading submodel digit, the 2 digits afterward did not have the same meaning as far as anything to hard drive size, memory size, a loaded operating system, whether it was token ring or Ethernet, like the other PS2 models can be encoded, the later PS2 models that the Model 90 is a part of. And I'm thinking, and this is a special bid, there was supposed to be some banking and insurance companies, like it was like Aetna, and there was a thing about like a German bank had got these submodels. One, and I think I'm kind of speculating here, but I think the 401 special bid is a different configuration from the 402. I think IBM went through and incremented the that last digit or the last 2 digits for the special bids for each contract. And of course, my machine, that 402 machine, is probably not for the German bank or whatever it is, whatever the customers were. I'm not familiar right off the top of my head. There's been a little bit of speculation of who those customers were, but my machine probably came from a U.S. source, and was new in box. It has that Type 0, which has actually a little bit of cache on the complex, 64 KB or whatever. And that'd be equivalent to like a Type 2 Model 70, just a little bit bigger case, a little bit bigger, more the possibility for more microchannel adapters and things like that in that desktop Model 90 case. And so those are a little bit special for especially a new in-box system. That's pretty rare. I'm not aware of any other system out there that has that Type 0 complex that's complete as it is. I'm aware of people going through and trying to build a unit, putting the complex on the Model 90 planer and making that machine. And the Model 90 is a little bit interesting of a machine as it is anyway, because the for one, it had video on the planer. I think the Type 1 had it all socketed where you could go through for the VRAM, and it had like half of the VRAM field. It was the XGA1 display adapter. And they also had what is called the DBA ESDI hard drive slot. So you could basically, a slot on the front, you could slide, and it hosted 2 DBA ESDI drives. Most other mid-model PS2s, they use that hard drive configuration, but they only supported 1 drive at most. And so it's not really been to where there's been a PS2 Model 90 that has been visible with an DBA ESDI drive in there, or even 2 drives in there. And I'll have to look. We're going to go through and I'm going to unbox that 8590 and look at what connection it's got, look what hard drive it has, and that unit may even have a SCSI drive as well. It may have like a Tribble SCSI adapter or Spock SCSI adapter. We'll just have to see. I haven't been looked inside the unit, even pulling it out of the box for the packing. I can do that on video just to kind of show it off. But I wanted to get through the AS400 stuff here first. I'm just doing a little bit of announcement. So I think we've gone over all the connections, and it's probably at the point where we're getting up to 40 minutes into the hour, where I can go through and get the machine, get this AS400 turned around. I've got the connections for it. And by the way, I still have this box off to the side, still shrink wrapped up, that I'll go through and use at some point too for the emulation of the Personal Communications AS400 for Windows 95, and hope to kind of work with that package a little bit too and see how that adapts. I do have the books up on top. These might be helpful here in a moment as I go through and we see what kind of login screen I get. And we're just going to go through, set my mic off to the side so I don't get all tangled in that. Hopefully I have good footing underneath. Yeah, let's spin it actually the other way. So I have and I'm just leaving a lot of the weight on the bench, the card I have here. Don't want to put too much strain on any connection. These cables are, this cable is kind of rigid. Through. Everybody gets a chance to look at my butt. For all that. And we'll put that, just to kind of get that Twin X header up. And probably put my mic back on so everybody could hear me rather than just seeing the back side of me. And yeah, these cables, especially the Twin X cable, and it's effectively, you know, double of what a coax is. It's got 2 leads in the center and then a shield on the outside, and kind of a rigid cable for all that. I'll go through. I can probably, and I still have my little tweener system off to the side that I was doing sound and all that powered up, so I can't stack anything on the keyboard of that. Tilt. Okay. Reset. And probably what I'm going to do in once I get turned around to the face the camera again. Okay. So we've got all the connections made to the info window terminal 2. Okay. And I'll get power to the, and I hope I don't trip any breakers or just have any too high of current draw. I'm putting 110 volts. Okay. And I don't know if the machine reacts when power's, we get like an amber light and things like that. Okay. So, as I was going to say, for later videos, if I have this around, once I have it connected, and I'll string the cables, the direct connection cable and everything else. I'll probably go through and just have it right in the middle between my 2 wheeled benches here, where I take my I got my photo rig and you have the tweener system, but I've got just a slot here that I'll probably just, I can separate those and I can put it on the ground, and it's about the right, it's about the same height as the bench here, just to kind of have a little bit more space to work with. And these I've got actually separated. The carts I have separated right now a little bit. So let's go through, and for that light, even though that's gonna, okay, so what we're gonna do again, just like I did last night, I think I'm gonna go like that. That gives a good view of the info window. I mean, it probably will not be easy to see anything on screen. I do have all that light coming in, but at least you don't get to see the infinite display. Now, on the panel itself, I've got 0000 BBBB, and I don't know what that means. Okay, and okay, so there's the and like I say, it's got an amber light for the for power. And this might be the point to go through and pull out the little setup guide. It doesn't talk about. Okay, and I'm not using the console. Here's a little bit of the page that I'm looking at. This is for the that console cable. But I've got the terminal connected here, and I've got it powered up. Okay, I've got a little bit of display, as you can see. It's in the upper left position. I don't know if this really has a diagnostic like the info window 2, being a lot nicer. And then I was hoping to go through, see, here's all the adapter that you can have in there, and it shows all the what those adapters do. Okay, so function, data display lit, press up or down select until 02. Okay, so 02, enter button on the control panel, and BN is boot normal. And I'm not sure that we need to necessarily be in. Okay, and that just changes. So we have BN, and I don't know if the M or N controls whether. Okay, so if your AS400 system unit will be using the TwinX console, use the remote control panel to power on the AS400, sign on the DST display in user field. Okay, and it's got the panel there. To say, I just don't. What does enter do? Okay. Okay, there's. I'm going to go with the BM right now, and that M might be like maintenance, maybe. BN is the boot normal. And let's go ahead. Let's go through and power it up. We had the CD drive going first, and it's C151B1DE. It's going through codes in that panel. And I could have gone through not in a good aspect. We can hear the hard drives spin up. And this is I'm used to kind of the process of the SCSI drives of them going through and booting up. I mean, it revving one drive up first and the next one, going through a process of starting up those disks so it doesn't overload things in starting those all at once. And let me flip back to the YouTube window. Yeah, the terminal set to address 0, plugged into port 0, or the machine will hang waiting for a console. And I'm going through and I haven't adjusted the terminal, otherwise it is plugged into the port 0 on the Twin-X Hydra. Although I haven't seen anything from the system console yet. And I don't know. Okay, boots. Yeah, I'm getting some some feedback from the experts in the chat window. And you know, upper right by default, and when there's no input, I'm guessing that Derek, that is normal. And so upper right means no host, upper left means host but no data yet. Okay, and so there we do have information on the screen. People are seeing it in chat, and even the that YouTube window being more the delayed response from what I have live. And boy, that is okay. So we have okay. So that'll give a good view of the screen, and especially that will give a better view of the screen. And I do have this sunlight kind of coming in. I do have a little bit of the info window is kind of going through and the intensity is kind of going through and doing some things. Now I've got to perform an IPL, install the operating system, use dedicated services tool DST, perform an automatic installation of the operating system, save license internal code. And I think I'm wanting to go through for this. I don't know why that text just goes through at the top. It's the low intensity text wants to go through, but I'm going to go through and do a an IPL, I think. Okay, AS400 DST sign on up here. Let's go through and use that dedicated service tools just to. I'm just following the manual, and I'm wanting to did 3. Oh, okay. So DST user, that is, and the seller had told me that they went through I mean, let's go through and I don't think it matters for capitalization here. I just don't know. I'm going to do it as exactly as the manual list, and it's the same thing. And of course, it's, as it says, it won't show as you type the password. Okay, enter. Okay. And so I don't really know. Yeah, the and it talks about selecting 21. I don't know if there's more, another page of okay, work with DST environment is what they're talking about. So let's see. Okay. I wonder if it's system values. What I'm looking for ultimately, and this gets into talks about even going through and the process of powering down and things like that as well. I mainly wanted to go through, and I'm just looking for okay. DST environment. I was wanting to see, I don't know if it's too early for going through and the I was wanting to basically see what the IP address is set for that Ethernet, and probably that's more in the operation. I'll probably go through and yeah, it very well could be a dirty rheostat for that, or dirty potentiometer for that intensity. It seems like it's settled in now to where it's not, as I see it, it's not. And I'm looking at it straight on the for what you guys are seeing, it seems like it's strobing across. So, I mean, I can go through and I can go through and kind of investigate. And you know, to kind of look things over and see what there is. I don't know for the what I'm looking for information. Yeah, option 1. Yeah, perform IPL, and I'm thinking of probably that's what I can do is an IPL. I'm looking through for seeing what. Let's just do an IPL. And And certainly I have it recorded here. Start date and time. Previous system end abnormal. And it looks like back more than 10 years ago. And we've got, I wish I could have set up that panel, a view of the panel off the side, because that's very informative as well. But I kind of wanted to see what operating system level it is and what the IP address is. And maybe I just need to do an IPL to go through and do that. As I say, I'm just kind of flying blind a little bit here. This is something new for me on the AS400. I certainly didn't even have much experience with the System 34s back when I worked with them. Some 30 years ago. So I'm getting input from the chat, which is helpful. I don't know how far I'll get. Okay. Journal synchronization. And I realize this may take some time. I did want to show, thank you everyone for the input. And what I could say there is I did put this on I did link even to the mainframe and mini computer group on Facebook, and I think a lot of people are in here from that. That certainly I can get comments or read the manual a little bit more for going through and working with the system. And of course, at the end of this session, for later on today, probably after the live stream, it's going to be a matter of going through and doing a proper shutdown rather than just going through and pulling power cord or something else, or trying to get the thing. I realize that there's a process to that as well, but I just don't know where the and I realize for the terminals in this case, I may have more luck, and that direct connection from PC or the telnet to get in there and to work with things. It's helpful enough. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to do some of the links that I had found. I even thought about, with that screen in the background, that I could have done, brought up the pages there as well. But here's a link, and it sounds like they had even a little bit of trouble. And this is back a couple years ago. Here's something on that direct cable connection. And then lastly, and they have a link to the telnet client that I'll probably work on. And I don't necessarily want to get this on the internet, so to speak. I just want to go through and look at telnetting to it over that Ethernet connection. I think that'd be kind of neat, a little bit more modern. So we have here, and still showing a pretty good view of all the login stuff. And I don't really know for what I have here as far as the any program or procedure to run, or current anything other than let me go through and try the. I just put the username and password. I don't know if I'm going through doing this right or anything else. And this is actually what amounts to the root username and password on these systems. Password not valid for system. So I'm sure that there's probably an earlier process in the setup that I could do for going through and I'm just not sure. Field exit. I'm not sure even how to get through. You know, I'll probably have to go through and set up users and accounts for whatever level. A lot of a learning process. And see, I don't know where. I don't know where effectively I am within this process either. I've gone through. I've not, of course, previously created any accounts or anything like that. Yeah, reset on, and that's what I did. X on the lower screen. And I appreciate all the feedback here. It's just that I really don't know what I'm doing. That I'm doing at this level, and I don't know if I'm not able to sign on. How do I go through and basically get back to the where I was before? See, and I'm not, without any username doesn't exist. Of course, it was blank. I just don't know how to get back to the setup process and as gracefully as possible to get this machine a little bit more set up and for what I want it to do. But it's great getting console. Yeah, and that's what I tried. I tried the KeySec, how you pronounce the that root information, and I'll have to look through the chat a little bit more and other things. Okay, that's all we did. Reset. You'll need to log in. Is okay. Continue the okay. How important it is to record that license info. So I've had those SCSI disks fail in the first hour, and I recognize all the input there as being very helpful to me in I'm focused back looking at the screen again here. And looking over the chat window. And yeah, and I realized that root level account, but I tried to go through and do that. And yeah, I may go through and try the QSRV. Maybe let's see what that does for us. Okay. And QS or V, enter. No password associated with user. So QSRV it's not really going through and doing anything for me either. Yeah, and I've done the same thing too, Jesse. I've run drives long term. I realize even with the server level, drives will eventually fail, and so I don't intend to go through and leave it on or anything else. I just I'll go through and I'll try and do okay, and QSys operator. Okay. Okay, and let's do, I guess you have to do a reset and then sys, excuse me. Okay. Okay, no password associated with user for that either. Just make sure I got that in. I think I put that in there. No password associated with user. So I don't. Okay. Okay. QSec. Okay, and that's, I guess it's like a Q security operator. And no password. Okay, and I don't know if I necessarily have to clear of what I have in the field, if it just blanks it out. And a blank, what ultimately would result is a blank username does not exist for the okay. No password associated with user. Yeah, so that's been very helpful for me navigating around the screen at least. Put your cursor on the field and press enter. Okay, I'm not sure which field that you're referring to. Okay. And like I say, I don't know of the routine to get back to the earlier setup, or at least to be able to go through and to okay, and error input, and I could have QSEC OFR. I very well could. And okay. So once I corrected my typing, and I as I say, I really appreciate all the all the input through chat, because I would be going through to where, and OS 400 IPL in progress. So is there any listing for are we to the point where I can see what the installed OS is on it? Any area where, and I realize there's a lot of manuals I can read for everything on the system setup of going through there. I've got a lot of reading time that I'd probably just need to go through and study firsthand. As I say, if you're a member of the IBM Mainframe and Mini Facebook group, I do appreciate follow-up comments to my posts to really give me a little bit more, just a brief overview, a little bit more guidance you think is necessary. I am the first to admit that I'm out of my league with what I've gone through so far. I'm not familiar enough with the systems. There we get, okay. So as I take it there, that it has that for the release size, it has the V4R5 and M0, and so I'm taking that is the level of what I have on the system. I come across all the disks, and of course I have to organize a little bit, but I had a lot of disks for the OS 400 version 5 release 1. let's see, even interesting, it has the okay, F21 to select all. And so if I do a shift on this 101 key keyboard, okay, license program, and I'm okay. Okay, F12 is cancel. F3 is an exit. Okay. Or do it enter. Okay. Takes us back. And I'll just look through those to determine a little bit more of how I go through and work with that. Display descriptions. Oh, okay. So that's better for the display descriptions. And but that's as I say, in all in the end, of course, at some point in the session later on, I'm going to have to figure out how to go through and do is the graceful shutdown. Okay, and what are you saying danger to? But first get the license. Okay. Okay, no clean way to get back to that without logging in and completing your IPL. Messing with the PTFs can cause a damaged system. Okay, and once again, I appreciate all the input. Those are the installed OS and application patches, and as I'm going through and reading that, it sounds like that that I've got OS 400 version 4 release 5 is what it sounds like the OS the package that I have on there, and all the items. So I don't know for as it goes through. Am I good with going through and exiting? Display releases. That toggles between the releases and the description. I wonder if I'm good for just going through F3 as an exit. Just keep pressing enter. Okay. Okay. So if I go okay. Okay. So the IPL options, I guess I'm to a good place there then if I'm able to do the setting the and 2-digit year and then for what I know that this job queues and I don't know if I want to do define or change, set major system options and define or change system at IPL. Okay, and that's what I did. Yeah, that's what I got to the saying the time and date, and I did an exit. And set time and date, press enter. Yeah, and that's the problem. I want to, I'm not sure how he shut down. And he was talking about when just before I arrived, he talked, is it okay for me to go through and disconnect all the cables? And he may have had it in all connected and then just didn't know where to go. So the last power down operation was abnormal. So if I go through and I don't want to change set major system options or define or change system at IPL. Let's just go through and say no for that. And at least it sounds like it's getting further. Yeah, I've just gone through for the defaults. But it sounds like it's continuing the IPL at least now. And this is a big learning experience for me. At least I'm not on the screen. At least I can get a little bit of stay hydrated here. I haven't had my breakfast yet. Hadn't even combed my beard or anything else yet today. It sounds like this is probably the most viewers I've seen on a live stream I've had so far. And let's see what we can do to at least I see that correct time and date in the okay, and we got a beep even. Subsystem Cubase active when system ended. I'm taking this was probably a problem with the last power down, and it's going through and at least displaying the messages. And I'm wondering if I just go enter to Okay. And those, I guess, yeah, just keeping me informed that those, the last system shutdown was abnormal. Okay. Yes, correct. Someone was rude to it, and I don't want to be rude to it. I want to go through, and I don't want to disturb anything. Eventually, I'll go through and get to some point that I can do a graceful shutdown, of course. IPL threshold. Okay. Okay, so just going through and pressing enter, I guess, is continuing on. Ah. Yeah, even beeps. Okay, yeah, display, and I have the manuals that talk about, you know, the some of the commands to run and everything else. And thank you, Mark Sterling, for saying I'm doing great, because I'm out of my league here. I in over my head. Looks to be a very a big learning process, and for me that but hearing that hard drive go, you know, moving and it doing something without saying that I'm doing anything wrong is a great confirmation for me too. Yeah, no doubt. OS 400 is a complex operating system, and it just, yeah, interesting. The terminal rebooted. I saw that. Talked about the control program, and I certainly don't see anything on the screen for it now. I just even wonder, like I say, at some point here, I've got other Twin-X and leads. I'm wondering if it might be interesting to connect up my info window 2 to one of the other terminal connections. And but yeah, it's for the terminal, it's just got that cursor in the upper left hand corner for being active, but of course not presenting any data or telling me what's going on now. There's still lots of hard drive activity. And Oh, okay, there we go. Previous sign-on. Sign-on attempts not valid. 1. Enter to continue. Okay. Exit sign-on request. Don't want to do anything like changing passwords. Saying enter to continue. Do I just want to go through? Okay. There, we're back to the display messages. Okay. Okay. So there, at least I'm to the menu, the main menu. So, and I'm guessing the sign-off process, or there's ultimately a way to go through from the, yeah, and the reset, I'm learning that now. The reset key on the, that keyboard, learning to use that. And the other thing I was happy in reviewing there's just a few pictures that the seller had included. One was the back of the display, which I'm kind of grateful for. Not really any misunderstanding to that I could connect up things wrong. I mean, you just have the Twin-X Hydra needs to be connected to the right place, of course. And there's a picture of the books, and then there's a picture of with the keyboard in there. And as I said, it's a 101 key keyboard. And I was worried on the trip that it doesn't have a keycap for the left Alt button and on the keyboard. And I was worried that I lost it on the trip back, and I was at least glad in a way that it didn't his picture of the keyboard did not have that keycap on it. So it's easy for me to get keycaps and go through and put something. I didn't know if that left Alt key had additional text or anything like that in this for the 101 key keyboard configuration, but yeah, it's great getting to the menu, having a menu up of the to where I can probably track with the manuals a little bit better now. Signs you out on any screen. Okay, that's good to know. We get beeps. Okay, giving up further messages. And they have LJet 4, so I'm guessing that's a printer, LaserJet 4. I'm just going through and enter. Okay, takes us back. Okay. And it's still loading, still that hard drive activity in the background. And so it's still loading. I'll probably still get messages and everything else. But I'm really glad to get to the point of this OS 400 menu on the screen, because then at least I know I can go through and look in the books and figure out how, when I eventually do it, to do a more graceful shutdown. It's been a maybe a little bit of intimidating of a live stream. I will be glad to be in my element with some of the other live streams I have planned. I'm still trying to think of next week on whether I'm going to do something of a Facebook theme or kind of continue on the YouTube side for the live stream. And okay, yeah, I was looking at where is my cursor, and I'm up to 602 subscribers. So during the actual transition of this live stream, I've got up above the 600 and above the 600 subscriber range. I did pretty good for that. It's been a very informative. I'm glad that everyone went through and has responded in the chat and gave me such helpful input. Yeah, we earlier we looked at the terminal stuff for the connection I have in the zero port of that Twin-X Hydra. That I'm sure I'm all doing good there, and for the system console. And the live streams in the weeks that I've done them before, I've gone through, and a lot of time I won't do a video that for the Saturday night. Sometimes I've been missing Sunday, and even I haven't had all that much videos during the week. Now the last few weeks I've just been doing 1 or 2 videos during the week, and as I was preparing for my trip, that took away a little bit of that time for planning. But I do have some content coming up. Who knows, I may go through and continue this to the point of having a video tonight, a regular video, not doing any sort of live stream or anything like that. I just adapted to the schedule of Saturday morning for the live stream, but I mean, I can do more within the week as well. And I do intend to go through and cover a lot more of me learning that mini computer side in the OS 400, showing the display emulation and things like that. And of course, a lot of my forte is a little bit more on the computer side that I'm used to, the display emulation, things like that, that I'll be working with on video as well. But I wanted to do this live stream, just showing me going through, and it was good for the live stream format because to get input and to be told, danger, danger, Will Robinson, get away from particular screens, don't touch particular areas. Okay, and that's great, Mark Sterling. I'm glad to have the viewers and the subscribers. I've talked about in the past I'm not at the 1,000 subscriber threshold. I can't do any sort of announcements on YouTube. So I need help getting up above that threshold, and I can go through and make a little bit more announcements of upcoming things and a little bit of the video, upcoming videos and things like that. Now, I do want to mention I've seen some requests to join the page or the group I have set up on Facebook of IBMMuseum, and certainly everybody can kind of look that up and everything. Don't be offended if I don't go through and relative to go to the point of, I mean, I can probably approve some join requests. I want to hold down and I want to make people aware that really that page or that group is for the development of my YouTube channel, to go through and do announcements on videos that I've done so people can have a nice, easy location. I want to allow discussion so people can go through and even give me input. I'd love to see a video on this or something like that. I just want to remain focused and not a place where I start getting spam messages I have to remove. I can go through and admin those, of course, those conditions, and if it comes down to it, block and ban users or whatever, remove messages that are they're taking that group in a little bit bigger direction. But I fully intend to have that as a discussion location, that people can provide me input for what videos they want to see, give me feedback on videos I've done, what they feel I could have done better, been a little bit more professional. I know that I'm opening myself up a little bit in that regard for criticism, keep it constructive. But I do intend for that, and there's ways to find me through that group and through the Facebook groups that I'm on. I really encourage, join the IBM mainframe and mini computer group. I've linked it earlier. It's real easy to remember alias, and the just for that. And then if you're interested in more in the PS2s and things like that, the computer side, we have a group for that too. We welcome members, and that's a little bit of the notion of the YouTube channel here, is to bring people into common locations, social media, to provide that access, and that even to the point of having those experts that are on those groups, and me, a person like me, being able to get a little bit of guidance on what to do, going through and powering this AS400 on, and me knowing a little bit of the basics at least. But output it to a message queue when you can take a picture of each screen. And that's what I'd consider too, is I have my phone here and going through, and a lot of time for the setup and the process of being into a screen. It's easy now to grab that phone. It's a very helpful tool to take a picture of what's on the terminal screen, and to for an idea of what's going on. And so I do and by all means, Jesse, go through, and I do welcome any sort of contact. I do look. In fact, that's probably a good point. I don't mind, in fact, getting my name out there. These are the cards. I can get a variety of them too, because I thought it was kind of interesting for all that, for the cards. Where do I have the beige? Yeah. So this is kind of like a the computer side of things, to where it's got the beige background and the gray or the silver kind of thing for the PS2. Let me even put it on the camcorder here, just to get a real good shot, get it off these are the cards that I took over to VCF East, and I have that address at IBMMuseum.com/links, and that is case sensitive. I've got the L capitalized. Here's a couple other the cards, the same format, just different. I kind of like that one because that was more like the industrial colors, the grays, and then even one with a little bit of color to it. And I produce these locally because I have the color copier. But I don't mind at all of getting my name out there, getting that, providing that information to people, of going to that links. And I kind of wisely considered in this day and age, it's not real great to go through and advertise your address and phone number and things like that for contact. But there are ways, of course, online to contact me. And I'm not sure if this is kind of like it's kind of like a screen saver. It's neat how going through, and we get so used to mice and things like that of how to move around the screen that we have to get back used to the so-called cursor keys and arrowing around the screen and it showing the location of where the cursor is in that lower right hand corner. I made an ASCII ad. I'll email you approval or modification. Okay, and that's fine. Jesse, I was just about to say there are ways to contact me on Facebook, and you end up prompting me, and I'll provide email address, contact, and stuff like that to some people, telephone number. Google's pretty good about going through and spam filtering and things like that on my main address. The phone, of course, is the big inside knowledge. That I don't want to provide that to people that I have known contacts and things like that. But, that's why I have that stuff, is for people to be able to contact me. And, okay, and press F1. And that's indeed helpful to know that context sensitive help screen of what we have. And I'll just have to see how I'm going to go through the use case for this machine. I did want it, as I spoke of earlier, a so-called forklift ready system that I could basically have that was operational to go through and to work with, where I could start having terminals and the terminal emulation that I could connect up to it, because that's the aspect I know, and but I know that there are uses of these systems and everything, and the aspects of programming or other features that it could be a good level. These are, as I've been told, they're the good powerhouse systems. They're a nice thing to have. I was glad to find the unit for the price I got it and everything else. All the stuff, all the books, all the stuff I had included with it. And I've got to go through, and I still have the boxes out here at my feet. I'm going to go through and kind of deduplicate all the stuff I have and get it a little bit more organized, to where I can have it put away for. And I covered that in the video last night of all the stuff that was included, all the disc and everything else. If you haven't seen that, that was relatively informative too. And maybe even on Facebook, you can tell me what I have, because there was a whole bunch of material that was included with this, and I was glad to have that information too. I need to revert back to my old school days where I start reading some manuals, and I'm aware that a lot of these manuals are going through, and they are online, and they've been scanned and put into PDF form, and I certainly have those capabilities too. With the bound books, it's a little bit harder, but having these manuals to go through and review, a hard copy, is handy. We've covered some of the aspects of me learning some of these things today. But and then the biggest book of all, I need to go through and review these books to kind of get a little bit of indication of where I go through from here. But I will shut this thing down. Yeah, and the classic question, and that's fine, but can it run Crisis? And I always hear that as a prompt, and sometimes that's out of my element too. I'm not a real big gamer. I'm not LGR. Nothing against Clint, but I'm not a real big gamer. I mean, if it does Sudoku puzzles or something else on there, maybe I can do the programming for it or something like that for a Sudoku game or something like that. But it may run Crisis or may need a port for that. So I'm gonna probably try and do some more videos with this. Who knows, for the video tonight, just maybe kind of review, maybe if I've learned some stuff. I will get the system positioned down lower now that I have it all connected, and so I have the chance to go through. I want to show those other connection methods too. I want to show to where I go through and get another my info window 2 terminal connected to it. I want to go through and use that direct connection and load the client access from CD-ROM to be able to do that, show that side of it too. I think that's informative since I have the cable and everything else. And then I want to show that telnet, the telnet 5250 stuff. There's I think I provide the link for that as well earlier, and determine kind of what the IP address is. And that page I had linked before, the guy even used Wireshark and trying to figure out what IP address that Ethernet interface is set to. And certainly I have other switches and everything else. I can set up that networking side pretty easily. But I want to show some of that. And the live streams are, Saturday mornings. This is a schedule I've kind of settled into. I see now that I've gone over, I've doubled the length. A lot of time I don't like having just really long videos, but certainly this is a good exception. to where I normally do an hour from 10 a.m. my time, which is Mountain Standard Time, GMT -7. And that's noon Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And by the GMT -7, anywhere else in the world, you can kind of calculate where that timeline would be to you. I found that the what works for me in the morning gets a little bit more of the East Coast and even European input, which is where most of the subscriber base or the people that I'm used to hearing from, and that's not to exclude the West Coast, the Pacific Standard Time, or getting out, going west from my location and being a lot earlier hours. That's not to exclude them. When I did a live stream that was in the afternoon here, to kind of look at that, there just wasn't quite the response. And I'm even aware of there's going to be there's other live streams coming up today that I want to kind of pay attention to. Mike's Mac Shack, I saw a reminder for him, and I'd love to get to the point where I'm able to, or even do a scheduling of my live streams and set those reminders and things like that. I'll just have to get up to the point where I can learn that and get the subscriber level to be able to do that. But Mike's Mac Shack, and he's covering a little bit of the VCF East. I really liked his video of what was there at the VCF East, and even for that, let's see. I want to do, yeah, he's got it scheduled here for, I've set a reminder for his, because I want to, he does VCF East pickups and tinkering. I wanted to link, and I didn't, wasn't so long ago. Maybe I can look through my history of, because I looked at it last night, and okay, so there, and let me go through, and that was, it was such an excellent video for and greetings to you as well. Got the that East European viewers coming on. But this is Mike's Mac Shack, and I subscribe to him. I've met him in person now at VCF East. He gave a great show, filming a lot of what was there at VCF East, and that link I put up. You get to even see the exhibit that was by the Source Computer Museum that was there in Maryland. I wish I had a chance to visit them. They got set up in January of 2020. They didn't know what really would lay ahead for in-person visits of museums, I guess. Kind of the bad timing, but they had a lot of the exhibit there at VCF East for the IBM mini computer stuff, and so it was a great overview. There was lots of PS2s on the table there, the PC series, and even at other locations. I met someone as part of the PS2 group that was very happy to see what he had set up. He had them all 57 set up, and Mike goes through and shows a lot of that in the video. I would go say after you're done watching the live stream to go through and to watch that. It's a real good overview of what we saw last week, exactly 1 week ago, there at VCF East. I do intend to go through and visit a lot more of the shows. The VCF East was moved back. Originally scheduled for April. With COVID, they moved it back to October. They delayed it, made it the last VCF show of the year. And so next year they're planning on, at least right now, with hopefully things settling down and getting in a little bit better place to do an event like that. They're planning on next April. Probably the same location for VCF East. And that's not, that's several months off. It's the time to start going through and planning for that. And I'm certainly thinking of a follow-up trip. I'll have to see. It'd be nice of me arriving at the right airport or one. I set that up with the great host that I had of Retro Tech Chris. Another highly recommended channel. He's done some stuff on the as us going through for the VCF East. I'm sure he's got some stuff queued up for later on for what we saw there that'll be coming out as well. But I may do it a little bit differently if I encounter the same situation where I am picking up a lot of items, or I flew over and did the rental car to put a lot of items in and drive back. And the drive back for the 3 days of 10 hours apiece wasn't so bad as I originally thought. But there is an aspect. That wasn't for everyone. I wish I'd taken more dash cam, more of micro SD cards for my dash cam and record a little bit more of the trip. I may do it that way, or may do a more formal way of flying over with a little bit of luggage and flying back. And even to the point, it might be interesting for me to, for one of the VCF shows, to probably a closer one to attend and even have a exhibit of my own, or some items set up, even sell some stuff. Going through, I'm looking forward to some of those things. Attending some of those events in the future as we go through, and at least hopefully we'll get through worldwide of this COVID thing. Some of these events will be opening up in the United States and elsewhere. We've had a lot of input from European members and stuff like that, how they're having to do some of that stuff virtually still as well. So hopefully we get back to a little bit newer normal of being able to attend those events. I do appreciate all the input I got through the chat, because I wouldn't have been able to make it through to get to the point where I did with the AS400 today. And it's gone through on my terminal, of course, to go into to being a screen saver. But so I do appreciate all the viewers, and I've been still getting some subscriber notices too. I realize there's viewers a lot of time that don't want to necessarily subscribe to my channel, don't even chip in, they don't chat. They like to lurk a little bit, and that's fine. But I do ask, please subscribe to my channel, just so it increases my numbers a little bit. and can help me with my goals. I want to hit at least 1,000 subscribers. Is a really kind of a good starting point on YouTube. I'm at 604, so certainly I picked up at least a half dozen subscribers during the process of this live stream. But I am going to go through and it's gone through for wow, so it's after noon now effectively for here, so it's gone on for over 2 hours. This is as good a place to end things. Certainly, click on that like button if you enjoyed the video as well. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to end the stream. And for the live stream, we'll see you next week in whatever format I decide I'm going to do. And certainly I'll have some videos coming up for then. So, as I say, this is IBM Museum. That's all I have for now. Thank you.